G'day folks, I'm Mitch, and today I'm going to talk about all of the reasons why the gas industry in Australia is taking the piss and rorting the system, and how Labor and the Liberals have and still are letting it happen. So you might not know this, but Australia is one of the largest exporters of gas in the entire world, which means that we have some of the world's biggest gas corporations making a lot of money in our country. And because of that, they've managed to sweet talk Labor and the Liberal governments of the past to basically get whatever they want and be able to do whatever they want. I've got a long list here of all the ways in which they're seriously taking the piss. But before we go through it, you need to know this. Australia's gas is a publicly owned resource, which means that if a gas company like Woodside wants to take that gas and then send it overseas and make a big profit on it, they're supposed to pay royalties to the Australian people for the gas, which they are taking and making a profit from. Those royalties can then be used to invest in public services like schools, hospitals, roads, and things that benefit the Australian people and make our society better. So the first piss take, the gas industry exports roughly 80% of Australia's gas overseas. And on that gas that's exported, 56%, so over half, is given to these multinational gas companies for free, which means they don't pay royalties on the gas. So 56% of the gas is given to them for free. Because of this, we've lost $13.3 billion in revenue over the last 4 years from $194 billion that gas companies have made exporting royalty-free gas. I don't know any other industry that gets their materials for free like this. Builders don't get their materials for free. Sparkies don't get their materials for free. So why should Australia's gas corporations, which are some of the biggest and most profitable companies in Australia, get to take the gas for free, which is supposed to be owned by the Australian people? The second piss take, in 2014, before we started exporting gas to the world and just used our gas domestically in Australia, the Australian wholesale price for gas was about $3 per gigajoule, which is a unit of measurement. After the first gas export terminal opened, which was in Gladstone in Queensland in 2014, the wholesale price for gas in Australia went up to $10 per gigajoule. So from $3 to $10 when we started exporting gas to the world. Because the reason being, all of a sudden, we weren't just operating within the Australian market, we were operating in an international market. So our gas companies were tapping into the international price for gas so they can make more money by exporting to the world. So Australia all of a sudden had to pay more money for Australian gas because it was getting exported around the world and we were in that international market rather than it only being used within Australia. So we all of a sudden had to start paying 3 times the price for our gas. And then so when Russia invaded Ukraine in 2021 and gas prices spiked enormously around the world, we felt the pain here too, and we had to pay more for the gas in Australia. While the gas companies were making more profits because the gas prices went up because of the war. So gas companies were making more money because of a war that was, affecting gas prices around the world. So this is a good reason to get our homes off of gas and onto all electricity, where we can create free energy for our homes from our rooftops using solar. The third piss take, how much tax do you pay? I did a bit of Googling, and what I found was that the median tax paid in Australia, so it's pretty much the average, paid in Australia in 2023, which was the most recent data I could find, was $14,000. So the average person in Australia paid $14,000 tax in 2023. Over the last 10 years or more, many of Australia's biggest gas corporations have paid no tax at all over the last 10 years, including Santos, Total Energies, Shell, ConocoPhillips, and this is all according to the ATO data. So some of our biggest and most profitable corporations in Australia haven't paid any tax over the last 10 years. You and I are paying more tax than these biggest gas corporations. I'm not sure how much you earn in a year, but Santos made over $5 billion last year. The fourth piss take, and how you're helping fund the gas industry and the fossil fuel industry more broadly. And I'm just going to talk about the fossil fuel industry for this one because that's where I could find the data. In the 24 to 25 financial year, the Australian government gave $14.9 billion in subsidies to the fossil fuel industry. So $14.9 billion from your tax money in subsidies and tax breaks to the fossil fuel industry. Again, some of our biggest and most profitable companies in our country. These are through things like direct payments straight to the companies in the industry, helping to finance the construction of their facilities, and also through tax breaks on things like fuel, where you and I have to pay tax on fuel. These big corporations don't pay any tax at all. Ridiculous. So if we do some maths, if we combine the $13 billion in lost revenue from the gas that we gave away over the last 4 years with the roughly $50 billion in fossil fuel subsidies over the last 4 years, we have $63 billion, or about $16 billion a year lost on gas royalties or fossil fuel subsidies. And fossil fuel subsidies, so both of those combined. If we made the gas companies pay royalties and stop subsidising fossil fuels, we'd have $16 billion extra per year to spend on things that can help the people of Australia. So we can fund public services that can help improve people's lives and support people, like free public schooling, making university free, making it free to go to the doctor, or putting dental into Medicare. And also a big one, subsidising solar for our homes. So instead of relying on expensive gas or expensive electricity generated from coal, we can create our own energy, sometimes for free, from the rooftops of our own home. And we can use that money to help subsidise people to get solar, to be able to do that. This is, again, $16 billion a year in just subsidies and royalties that can be used to help the people of Australia that are currently supporting and propping up the gas and fossil fuel industry. And then aside from this, there's the tax that we're missing out on. So again, those big companies that I mentioned who haven't paid any tax at all in Australia over the last 10 years. If we make them pay tax, we close those loopholes and tighten the regulations on tax and make them pay tax, or we do our best. No one's saying it's easy, but we have to try. That's tens of billions of dollars more per year that we could be using, again, to help improve our societies and improve the lives of the Australian people through better funding public services, and then also getting homes, as I said, off gas and onto clean renewable energy and solar, which we can then generate our electricity for free. The thing is, this is the most sensible way forward, not just for helping the climate and the environment, because we know the gas industry is destroying the climate and they are polluting our oceans and destroying the planet. It's also the best and most sensible way forward for bringing down power bills and making us less reliant on these big corporations for our energy, making us more energy independent, increasing our national security and sovereignty. This is the best way forward, getting us off gas and onto renewable energy. The only reason that it's not happening, and these things aren't happening at the speed that they should be, is because of the power and the gas industry and the gas lobby. They paint this picture that the gas industry is the backbone of our economy, and if we tax them, it'll hurt everyday Australians. But this is a total lie. This is a complete lie. They're taking our resources for free. They're paying barely any tax or no tax at all. They're sending the gas overseas, and then our tax money is being used to subsidise these industries. But it's happening because they've captured our politicians, they've captured our governments, which is so evident through when you look at donations, the lobbying, the revolving door, and they control the media as well. If the government tries to do anything major, the gas industry and the media will come out swinging and throw everything they've got at them to make sure that they can just keep doing what they're doing, rorting the system. This is why we have to throw everything we've got at them and exert the same amount of pressure the other way. Now, we don't have the millions or billions of dollars to spend on, big misinformation advertising campaigns, but we have people power. We have word of mouth. We can spread this. And the good thing is the sentiment is changing. The work of people like Richard Dennis and the Australia Institute, Punters Politics and other people now realise, and a lot of people now realise, just how much we're getting ripped off and just how much the gas industry is rorting the system. We have to continue pushing to make it known to everyone that the gas industry is not a friend of the Australian people. They're not helping the Australian economy. they're a burden. They're ripping off the system, they're taking the piss, they're ripping off Australians. We have to make it known. What we can do is we can lay the groundwork for the government to actually take action to address these issues and actually, tax the gas industry, make them pay royalties and things like that. We can lay the groundwork to make it possible, politically possible for the government to do these things. We just need to create and build the public awareness through conversations, through speaking up about it on our social media, in person, and through campaigning in politics, in campaigns outside of politics. We can do all these things to make it happen. It is possible. We can make it happen. Thanks for watching.